Support for Donnybrook Last Call is provided in part by Design Air Heating and Cooling.
So he's still.
Thank you so much for joining us for Last Call. Alvin Reid, we're going to start this edition off with you because you are the only panelist to have visited Jingle, which was supposed to be a really great winter wonderland in O'Fallon, Missouri, I think on T.R. Hughes Parkway there. And they'd have a very big ice skating rink and food booths and DJs. And it was supposed to be a great outdoor party celebrating, December. However, as it turns out, it was a financial mess, and the vendors, as well as employees, are complaining that they're not getting paid, and as a result, they can't pay rent or pay their tuition at the local community college. Did you notice when you were there any problems?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What was those horror movies? Black Christmas? That thing was just a sham. And it was very dangerous because, where it was at the baseball stadium out in O'Fallon, and it was very slick. There was really nothing to do. There was no signs telling you there were where to go, and some people had pre-registered to do the inner tube down the icy snow tube, and they had to wait forever in line. And the ice skating rink, the ice skating rink hadn't arrived yet, so they didn't have that. My mom just found a place to sit inside of a tent where it was warm, and we kind of walked around. No place to shout, nothing. So we leave and just said we got clipped. Okay, this was some sideshow action, and they beat us. Didn't think anything about it. Kind of, for that night. But apparently it continued to be bad. I don't know if it ever improved. And now they didn't pay their employees here or in the Kansas City, Kansas area. And somebody needs to go after them because this was just, never mind Christmas, holidays. It was just an alarming ripoff.
What was the weather like?
It was freezing that night, too.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Nothing like it is now, but it was really cold that night, too.
Well, and it seemed like it was going to be like Notting Hill, like in London, as you said, this winter festival. But it turned out being more like one of those carnivals where the rides are held together with Elmer's glue and Scotch tape.
Right.
And you got the bearded lady and the flatbed trailers. But you and Ryan did a lot of looking into what was going on with this organization.
Yeah, Ryan Kroll actually did some great reporting on this because we kept hearing the one in Kansas City the year before had just been amazing. And so it wasn't that Alvin was dumb to go. It was that, was Alvin somehow tricked? And so Ryan looked into this, and yeah, Alvin pretty much was tricked in that there had been this outlet out of Montreal that had started doing this in Montreal. It was wildly successful, sort of spread around the country, kept adding new locations. Well, this was the year they decided to franchise it. And so they franchised out the previously very successful Kansas City version. That also ended up hitting the skids this year. And then the St. Louis version was done by these new franchisees, again, who were doing Kansas City but didn't really know what they were doing there. Just a mess. And I think it's actually part of a national trend where people are seeing money by doing these events. And they'll kind of use AI to make it look great on Instagram. They had these pictures of this ice skating track, the one that never showed up. Well, they admitted to Ryan, that was an AI synthesis of what it could look like. And so it's all kind of smoke and mirrors. People paid top dollar to have a big event that they can rave about, and you get there and it's kind of meh.
There used to be a lot more due diligence. That's all I can say. And I don't know enough about AI. I'm very confused because either it's the devil or the angels. I can't tell. But we did used to have, it seems anyway, from a municipality standpoint, more structures in place.
For the 1904 World's Fair.
I
they
know.
made movies about it.
I know.
Right. How far have we gone downhill? Here's
pretty
here's
far.
the thing. We do have a lot of great activities. At this time of year in Defiance, the Daniel Boone House, that's really cool. You go from one candlelit house to another.
Right.
And then you got the Missouri Botanical Garden and the wild lights at the zoo.
Yeah.
And then Keener Plaza.
Yes.
But it would be nice, I think, to have, what are those Kris Kringle markets? Where you have
Yes.
little booths and mulled wine, and it shouldn't be too difficult to put on. I think people would love it. We should have a bunch of them in this
Well,
town.
there's something about a rip-off at Christmas. It just kind of makes you think, wow.
He's
God
right.
bless
Because
us,
when I tell you, I
everyone.
feel like, yeah, fool me once,
Yeah.
shame on you, right? But it'll never happen again. I mean, there was no place to wash your hands.
Ugh.
The bathrooms were closed. They just had Johnny on the spot, so there was no place to literally wash your hands.
Oh, that's overrated. Hey, Bill, I want to ask you about Illinois seniors, because you're from the land of Lincoln, and there's a proposal to change the rules for drivers in Illinois. Illinois remains the only state in the nation where, when you're of age, right now I think it's 79, you have to take a road test to maintain your driver's license. Now they're talking about maybe changing that to 87. So you'll still have to take a road test as a senior citizen in Illinois, but not until you're 87 years old. Do you like the road test at 79?
I think it ought to be mandatory. I mean, as you get older, your reflexes are slower. I could knock down my coffee cup. So I think it's very good. Now, I had trouble just, when I was like 65, I let my license expire and I had to go in and take a driver's test again. And so I thought, well, I mean, I'm pretty good at this. I've been driving for years. And I went in there and the state agent went out to my car with me and he said, I'm not getting into this car because it was kind of messy. And I said, oh, well, here, I'm sorry about that, sir. And I threw the stuff in the front into the back seat. And he said, I'm not getting into this until you clean it out. And so I thought, wow. So I'm not saying I would pass if I had to take one. But I do think that as people get older, it shouldn't be automatically assumed that their reflexes and their eyes.
Except senior citizens have the lowest per driver accident rate in the nation.
That's because we drive 15 miles an hour, and I did not know that Felix Unger was working for the state, for the License Bureau. That's
I'm with
incredible.
Felix. I'm with Felix.
I mean,
It's
we've
a
all-
rolling landfill. Have you seen his car?
I've seen his car.
It was a little bit then. And then when I got it, I went back. I got a different guy, thank goodness. And this was on the one on Kings Highway, South Kings Highway.
Right.
And we started out, and I was just trying to make conversation with the guy. And I said, a lot of Bosnians live in that building right there. And he said, keep your eyes on the road. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. That's
Okay, so I don't support any of this that they put Bill through. I think our seniors should be allowed to have messy cars. I think they should be allowed
right.
to make
That's-
conversation. But I do want them to take these tests. And I say this in part, my parents are now getting up into their late 70s. I want this for their own protection. I understand this is kind of a hoop to jump through. But if it's a hoop you're not capable of jumping through, your kids want you to be not driving on the roads,
If you want them to be protected, take the drivers 25 and under off the road.
Well,
That's the answer.
Well,
when you see these cars speeding down 64, 40, or 55, are they driven by seniors? I don't think so.
I don't know. There's been
I've seen
several
a couple.
Yeah, I
90
have
mile
too.
an hour.
And there's
They
been
might
some
not be
high
going 90,
profile.
but they're in another lane.
Yeah, and they're like driving into cars that are parked, and it's not a good situation when things go right. These Illinois tests, they've flagged very few people, but it's good that they flagged the ones they did.
That happened to me, Bill, when I got to Danville, my first paper. I thought my license expired on September the 6th, and it expired on September the 1st. And they had said, I knew I had to take the written test. They said, do you know you have to take the driver's test? I said, I do.
That's one of my greatest
He said,
fears.
yeah. I said, well, okay. And so I took the driver's test. When I was 16, I got a 71. When I was 23, I got a 99. So I did improve.
Wow.
And the lady who gave me the test said, nobody gets 100. So, right. And so I said, all
But
right.
the cars, though, that senior citizens used to drive, and you're too young to remember this, but the Pontiacs or the Cutlass Supreme, those were like houses.
Yeah.
So if you hit somebody, they were probably going to
die.
live.
No.
No, they were. I mean, the person driving the house was going to live.
That's right.
And so because we did have high performance. We had muscle cars back then too, but the cars were a little bit more substantial.
But my mom is in her late 80s, and she drives better than probably anybody sitting at this table. So
I wouldn't doubt it.
Right.
Well, all we can say in Illinois is drive carefully. In Missouri, please do the same. Thanks for joining us on Last Call. We'll see you again next week.